Hello, and welcome to a very lonely episode of IV Games Weekly. I don't even know if we're calling it IV Games Weekly because it's mostly just Austin and some boxes. But I wanted to do a little bit of a unboxing for Moonrakers. I feel like I had told people that I was planning on doing that for our Wednesday game and then totally forgot and just set up the game before we started the stream. And then you might notice that I have another box here, and maybe I'll get to show off some components for the game that we have coming out in just under 2 weeks on Kickstarter. So I'm super excited that you decided to hang out with me since I would otherwise just be talking to a camera. But please ask questions as you have them. I will try to answer them while we are in stream. Ian, I know that you were excited to see me in my natural habitat, but I mean, Zach and Sam are still here. They're just working on other things, so I can't go quite as in my native state as I normally would. But yeah, Dane, I was right on time. Don't you dare say I was late. All right, so gonna unbox Moonrakers. Some of you watching probably already have your game, but some of you probably are waiting. You're probably in North America. We just started shipping those yesterday. Really excited for you to get them. But in the meantime, hopefully this helps the waiting. So when you unbox the game, you will see the... Huh? Sure, yeah, go top down. That sounds fun. Well, look at that. You will see the Origins Moonrakers comic. And this was something that I didn't have a lot to do with the production of, even from like an art standpoint. But Sam did a lot of the storytelling for this and came up with the outline, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. If you don't know anything about the Moonrakers, they basically are a group of people that got thrown out of a utopian society and managed to rebel and kind of make their own society called the Moonrakers. And this tells the story of kind of like how they came into being. Really fun backstory. I'm really glad we were able to include it in every game. This is going to be in every single game moving forward too. So really excited about that. Oh, Jacob, I'm sorry that you're in pre-order. That sucks. They are also submitted, so we're expecting that very soon. But I'm actually sending out an email to pre-order people either today or Monday, so it's coming up. All right, so we got a question. I'm just going to do this real casually. Sam, you can jump back. We're going to answer questions as they come up because otherwise I won't see them just because I'm watching a live stream of questions. Someone asked, will Veiled Fate be translated into other languages? So yes, Moonrakers we translated the rulebook for, but we didn't do a whole game translation. And a lot of that was just not knowing how successful it would be and how big of a investment we could make up front. With Veiled Fate, Panda is really helping us to make this in other languages. I believe we will be doing 4 other languages, and those would be Japanese, German, Spanish, and French. So any other language, if you start a petition in your country and get a bunch of people to buy it, maybe we'll translate it into that language too. You can go back top down, Sam. All right, so this is the Moonrakers rulebook. It is very long, especially for a game of the weight of Moonrakers. But a lot of that is that we decided to give it a lot of room to breathe. And then there's also these great markers on the side. It's colored based on what topic you're in from the side. And I really like that. And that correlates back to the index here. So really happy with how this turned out. I love the work that Alex did on it. I think it's a very beautiful and aesthetically pleasing rulebook. And if you end up having lots of rules that you can't figure out the answer to, there is also a glossary that'll help you just with kind of specific things that are alphabetized. So yeah, I'm really happy with how this rulebook turned out. Excited to keep working on the Veiled Fate rulebook. We've been working on that a lot in the office the last few weeks. So yeah, I'm going to check chat here. Oh yes, I really like how the logo turned out, Dane. I think that's something that will continue with all of our games. It just gives something interesting on the inside cover. So really pumped. Oh, this is a really interesting question. I've not heard of this yet. Christian Adams, I'm going to call you. it seems you definitely have a card error. That is something that we can help with. If you want to shoot me an email to moonrakers@iv.studio, I would be more than happy to help with that. Dane, that's an excellent question. Yips. Let me see if we have that listed in here or not. I actually don't think it's in this. I think it's in the rule book. All right, I'll have to answer that question later in the Discord. Dane, I can't remember who the artist on the comic was. All right, so next we come to our boards here. So this is the dispatch board. The dispatch board is where the contracts sit and also where the objectives sit. And then it's where your ship tokens will sit to do track your score. It has a really nice UV layer on it, so I think you'll be able to see the shine there from the top down. And I just love that they were able to get that UV on such like a small amount of the board. It's mostly just the score track and then the outlines of things. But it turned out really, really well. I'm pretty pleased with it. Just a simple black wrap on the back. Nothing fancy there, but it's got a good heft to it. Doesn't have a lot of... it's really sturdy, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I'm really, really pleased with it. All right, the second big board is the armory board. This is where the crew deck sits and the ship parts sit, and then they get dealt out to the side. 3 crew, which is shown by those 3 markers there, and then 6 ship parts, shown by these here. And then you also put all the metal coins on here, and if you bought the metal coin extra pack, you're going to have a hard time fitting all of them on there, because that is 80 coins that is going to go on here, because we shipped the game with 40. I have never run out of coins in a 5-player game with 40 coins, so I can never imagine needing that many coins, but I love that people bought them, especially because I hear people were using them in their role-playing games, especially sci-fi themed role-playing games, and I'm definitely going to take home some to do that with. I've already unpacked this game, so you'll get to do your... I didn't want to spoil the unboxing of like the first time ever, because it's something special about taking the plastic off your own game, but there's also the metal ship tokens in here if you got those. So I'll go ahead and get those out. We don't have a real tight camera, so you won't be able to see how great they are close up, but they are super shiny, as you can see, and I'm really, really happy with how they turned out. They do fit in there with the base plastic tokens, but I don't know if I would ever use the base plastic tokens if I own the metal ones, so it's kind of up to you whether you store them in there or if you put these, under the insert. I'm actually nearly just as pleased as the metal ship tokens. Obviously, there's just something about the weight and the feel and the shininess of the metal ones, but the PVC ones really did turn out well. I'm really, really happy with them. The colors match really well. It's got like a great texture to it. I don't know how to explain that. It's not very heavy, but it's got a really good texture to it. You got a slack, Sam. All right. I'm really curious what card you're missing, Christian Adams. Like, which one got a blank print on it? That's so weird. I've not heard of that problem yet. So when you get your game, go ahead and look in your crew and see if that is also something that you have a problem with, because I'm curious at this point. Not much wobble. That's what I meant to say, Kevin. Could not come up with a word there. Chuck, if you bought the metal ones, you will get them mailed in a separate bag, but you can store them with both of them in here. So that'll work out. Hey, Charles. Thank you so much for picking us to be your first Kickstarter-backed game. That's really a big compliment, because Kickstarter is kind of confusing, and if it's your first time, it's kind of a big barrier to get by to do that. So thanks for choosing us to be your first Kickstarter game. Bobby, what's up, dude? Oh, you put your plastic ships in the bag and put it under the insert. That's great. This is the KS exclusive game. I'm going to show off these boards. Can you go top down again, Sam? So this is I think the coolest ship design, but orange is not my favorite color. So I do not normally play as orange, but I do think it is my favorite ship design overall. Purple is Zach's favorite ship design. It's his favorite color, so maybe he just says it's his favorite ship design. I'm not sure. I think this one's really cool. It was funny, Alex and I had a conversation about the ships, and he was just like, I'm just going to look for different items around the house and base some of these ships off of them. and he found a padlock that was kind of wacky looking, and he based this ship off that padlock. And so Alex is an incredible designer, now works at Bungie, and really, really glad we got a chance to work with him for this game. The yellow one is maybe the most generic as far as like spaceships go, but I'm still a big fan. The green one looks like a dragonfly to me. All of these have spot UV on them, so you might see that sheen that I'm showing off there. And yeah, I'm really happy with those. Blue is my go-to. I really like the ship design, and I really like the color. Sam stole it from me, which is why I didn't win last game on Wednesday. I just didn't have my ship. Sam is shaking his head no, but that's definitely why I didn't win. I didn't win because I played really bad, and then I kind of set Zach up to win. But I did not king make. Anyway. Ian, he never worked for us. He was a contractor, but then he did leave us for Bungie, so I am a little sad. But I mean, it's kind of hard not to go and work for Bungie when they ask, so I understand. Chuck, the first encounter cards get shipped in the plastic wrap with everything else. The base game just will have less cards in those wraps. Yeah. Yes, Kevin, the boards do match up with the ships. So here is... That is really hard to get out of there while I'm holding 3 things. There we go. There is the blue ship, for instance. This is the bad idea because it's going to go out of focus, so that's not going to work. But, yep, they match in both design and they match in color. All right. So remind me at the end, and I'll do the tornado test for you, because you can literally shake this box around once everything is in here. It locks in really, really well. But I don't want to do that now because the board's on there and I'd throw cards everywhere. So that seems like a terrible, terrible idea. Kevin, fun fact, the board started off all the same. It was just the same design, kind of really generic. And we ended up changing it. Alex wanted to go the extra mile and make them unique. He just felt like that would be a lot cooler. And Alex was right. It is a lot cooler. So really, really happy that he wanted to do that. Dane, so two of you. Oh yeah, we have the default loadout. That's what we call that. So if you go to the top down, Sam, the base game, not the base game, the starting deck that everyone starts with. Can you go to the top down, Sam? The cards that start in your deck are written right down here. You won't be able to read them from here, but it's 3 reactors, 2 thrusters, 2 shields, 2 damage, and 1 miss. And so when you pull the game out to start, you don't have to look in the rules to figure out, okay, what is the 10 cards we start with again? You just look at your board and it's right there. And that's also super helpful because when you buy a ship part and you put it on your board, you can look at what's in the default loadout and what's on the top right here. You can see, okay, I know how many cards I have in my deck, and I know what they are, and so if I know what my discard is, I know what's left in my draw pile, and that'll really help you make hard decisions when you're going after hard contracts. Obviously, if you trash something, then you can't rely on that all 100% anymore, but it is super, super helpful for just knowing what's in your deck. All right, so going to go to the coins next. I'm going to shake them next to the mic so you can get a little of that. Sorry, I might have just killed your ears. But I'm really, really, really pleased with these. They turned out from a like wash standpoint of like contrast and stuff better than the prototype coins did. And I thought the prototype coins were amazing. So they just have a little bit more contrast and definition. Yeah, I'm really, really pleased with them as a whole. And then the 1 coins, there are 25 of these guys, and they're not as satisfying as the 3s because the 3s are more quarter sized. These feel a little bit more like dimes, but they're still heftier than a dime, and I like them a lot. So, and I just dropped them everywhere. That's gonna be fun to put back in. All right, and then we have the hazard dice. Now, I'm really excited to show off the hazard dice. Someone asked what the distribution was on these a little bit ago in the Discord. This is going to be 2 hazards on 2 sides, 1 hazard on 2 sides, and blank on 2 sides. So it's the same across the board. Really helps you plan just because you know you have a 33% chance of all 3 of them. Sometimes, though, that does not seem the case. You play games where you just roll all 2s all the time, and everyone you're playing against is just rolling straight 0s. So they're a little fickle, but you know, chance is always fickle when you're playing board games. Speaking of dice, though, we're not 100% sure what we're doing with these yet, but we made some prototype hematite dice from Level Up Dice. If you know Level Up, they are fantastic. We were next to them in a booth at a con recently. I guess not recently because of COVID, so it was more like a year ago. But these things are hefty dice. They're basically metal. It's hematite. And so it just felt really in line with the rest of the metal components that we were able to make for Moonrakers, but wasn't something that we could do in time for the Kickstarter. And so I think we're going to put these on the website eventually. They also might appear in some Veiled Fate stuff, so be on the lookout for that as an add-on in the future. I don't think we have a ton of sets made yet, but it'll be something that we can make more of in the future if we need to. But I'm really, really satisfied with them. They apparently are food grade hematite, which means you can like freeze them and put them in like a drink as an ice cube too, which is wild. Don't quote me on that. You'd have to check with Level Up before you actually do that. But yeah, I'm really pumped that these turned out so well. More ASMR for you. I have a lot of questions. All right, Sam's telling me to look at that. Starting with who? Tyler. Are you planning on coming out with any other expansions? And if so, how will you guys be selling them? Hey, Tyler. So yes, 100% we're coming out with expansions. Those will take the form of micro expansions, which are small card packs, like the one that is in the KS Exclusive Edition, or bigger expansions. The bigger expansions will be coming to Kickstarter eventually, I think probably next year. And we have 3 main ideas for that and are still fleshing those out. And the micro card expansions will come out before then, or at least one of those will. Those just kind of spice up the game. It was amazing how much variance just 15 extra cards added to the game when we started playing with the KS Exclusive Edition cards. So I was really, really thrilled with those, and actually have won because of them on several occasions. They're just really, really solid cards. All right, what other questions we have? I like the Chill VF poster back there. How much? So this is actually a screen. That's a screen right there that Max is sometimes on. VF posters? I can talk about that? Okay, apparently I'm allowed to talk about that. There will be some posters as a part of the Veiled Fate Kickstarter, and I'm super excited to show them off. More details coming on that soon, but if you are really into posters, they exist and will be for sale eventually. Oh yeah, some of them will be limited editions, which means you have to get them while they're available. Do you know how many sets we're going to do yet? We're not positive yet on the limited number, but really excited about that. Yes, it'll basically be a first day goal, like we did with the names in the back of the Moonrakers comic. We have everyone who backed in the first 24 hours in here. It'll be similar to that, but it'll just be something that you can get that's not gameplay on the first day, or until we run out. I'm not positive we'll run out on the first day. All right. Do the metal ships come with the KS Exclusive Edition? They do not. We actually added these at the end of the campaign because people were like, we want every component in the game to be metal that's not cards or boards. And that's also why we wanted to do the dice eventually as well. But the metal ship tokens were an add-on in the Pledge Manager. We still have some for sale on our website, but that's still in pre-order mode. It's about to come out of pre-order mode, and once it's out of pre-order mode, everything will be priced to ship for each individual item. Right now, everything is priced to ship as a package, so you'd pay a lot of shipping on just a small item like that. So I'd probably give it like a week or so, and then check in on that. All right, next question. Someone modeled them at IV. Dane, ask me again what you were talking about for that. Sorry, my Mac froze there for a second. Moonrakers posters. Excellent question. No plans for that as of now, but I want a Moonrakers poster, so I'm all for that in the future. If it's not displayed, it doesn't go on my wall. Human. Awesome. Yeah, Tyler, we're really happy with the small expansions. They changed gameplay more than I thought they were going to, honestly. Just a lot of new ways to combine cards, even just with 15 more cards. It just adds a lot more options. So, oh, the coin design, yeah, that was done in-house, Dane. The coin design was done by Max in-house. All right, going to move on to some cards. The first thing in the row here is the objectives. There are I want to say 23 of these guys. It's a weird number. We had 24 or 25, and then right before launch, 2 of them were just not as good. They were way harder to get than the rest of them, but I personally hate getting this card. I thought I would love getting it. It's called Utopia. It's complete a contract with all other players as allies. And it's one that you have to do early, and when you have to do them early, they kind of bump up your score artificially a little bit. Some people love getting this card because it's not that hard to complete, because you can offer people really good deals to join you on a contract, but I personally think you have to do it a little bit too early. I love getting the acquire 3 types of ship parts for your ship, whether that be reactors or thrusters or whatever. It's usually brands, though, so that this would be Comet being the reactor brand. But this is a great one to get because on your last turn, you can buy it after you've already gone on a contract to get that last point. So if you complete a contract, you get to 9 prestige, you can spend the money that you just earned on that contract that you just did to buy that last blue Comet ship part. It's a really, really great way to win in this game. The completing contracts alone one is also really good because if you're about to win, you're often going on a contract by yourself because people don't want to give you the win unless you're silly like me and you do it. You help Zach get the last points that he needs accidentally. Money bags have 8 credits at the end of your turn. There are some games that I love this one and some games that I don't. I sometimes plan to have 8 credits at the end of my turn on my last turn just so I can kind of get this right at the end. But then you don't spend as much money and your ship isn't as good, so that can be hard. But yeah, that's just a couple of examples of the objectives that we have in here. Specialist, acquire 2 Cerelia ship parts for your ship. Got to be one of the best ones because having Cerelia ship parts means you're getting the best ship parts in the game. So it's expensive and it's hard to get, but if you do accomplish it, then you probably have one of the best ships at the table. All right, so I'm going to put those back in there. Contracts. All right, so this has the Kickstarter exclusive contracts in it as well. The main difference between the base game and the Kickstarter exclusive game contracts is that the Kickstarter exclusive contracts do not come with credits. The rewards are all cards, or cards and prestige. I don't know who shuffled this, but they shuffled it reverse, and so I'm having to go through it. But I'm going to find you a Kickstarter exclusive one. All right. So you won't really be able to see it because it's a little small, but in the corner down here, there is a notch design built into the card, and every Kickstarter exclusive or every expansion card has their own design. So all the Kickstarter exclusive ones have this design. Our next pack will have a different design. That way, if you want to play with a certain expansion pack versus another one, you can take them out really easily just by sifting through your cards. And then if you look at this card, it has 4 prestige and 2 bonus cards, but doesn't have any credits. And so that's another way that you can tell the Kickstarter exclusive. Also, their artwork is very different than the other artwork in the game. So easy to tell them apart. There are, in the base game, 4 major artwork types. But then they each have custom colors and custom complexity. So there's like different looks on that base artwork. And they get a little bit more complicated as they get bigger. So this one, for instance, has 3 different colors on the artwork because it is a 3 different requirement quest. It has shields, thrusters, and damage. Also is a very hard contract. Not many contracts have 4 hazard dice. That's huge. Are we planning on selling on Amazon and retail in the near future? So, Gustavo, we had a retailer pledge on our Kickstarter, and so some retailers did back at that, and they got the Kickstarter exclusive games because they did that. But it wasn't a ton. I think there were maybe less than 20 in all that backed that way. And so we currently are more than open to partnering with other retailers, but we also don't have a ton of games left from this print run. So I think that's something that we're going to be looking at heavily for our next print runs in the future. And then as far as selling on Amazon, we don't have any current plans to sell on Amazon, mostly just running traffic through our store. We're a marketing company. We're an animation studio. We do lots of marketing for other people and for ourselves, and so feel that we can run enough traffic to our store and don't need to partner with Amazon to do that. Yeah. I don't think it'd be too difficult to win without completing a mission, but you'd have to solo the last contract or 2. Ooh. Objectives. Okay, cool. I was very confused. I was like, it would be very hard to win without completing a contract, but that's not what you meant. Is there an icon that signifies the chaos cards? Yes, it's in the bottom left corner, Dane. It's like a indent into the card art from the border. And everyone will have a unique one. Like the next micro expansion has a different a different indent, basically. Cool. All right. Those are the contracts. All right. These are the ship parts. Definitely my favorite part of the game. So the main difference between crew cards and ship parts is ship parts are on your board and you can use them all the time and you can plan for them. Crew cards you can only use when they're in your hand, so sometimes you cannot plan to have them when you really need them. Basic breakdown of a ship part. In the top right corner, it tells you the number of cards and type of cards that you add to your deck's discard pile. Has a name, and then it has a special action that you can take that no one else has. Every ship part is unique. There are no duplicates in the game. And then it has a brand. Brands are mostly just important for telling you what they're going to be good at, but it also is important for those objectives that I showed you earlier. And then in the bottom right-hand corner, it has a cost. The color language is really strong on the ship parts, so what color the artwork is not just for aesthetics. It tells you something about what that card is going to be good at. So for instance, if I show you this one, this is a weapon that is orange and has a yellow detailed kind of like lighting on the sides. And it says at the start of the contract, +2 cards if you have no damage cards in your hand. This would be an excellent, excellent card to have if you were planning a no or low damage build, if you were planning on trashing damage cards from your hand, because you could plan on drawing 2 cards from this card all the time. So it's a really, really fantastic card. It also comes with a damage 3, which is the highest damage card in the game, and it only costs 4 credits. So this is just a really, really great one. But that color language is that yellow means thruster, which always helps you draw cards, and then orange, of course, is damage. So that color language is telling it's helping you draw cards and damage. Some cards are going to be monotone. This is just blue. It's allies start with an extra action, so it's all about actions. All right. The main colors are going to be yellow, which is going to be thrusters, like I said, blue, which is going to be reactors, green, which is going to be shields, and then you have purple, which is Cerelia. Those are the really special ship parts that are really the best in the game. And then there's obviously lots of combinations of those colors on all the cards. Alrighty. So, Chuck, to answer your question about whether we plan on releasing a new box in the future to accommodate all future expansions, kind of like a definitive box, I think that we will have to with that 3 expansion tier for Kickstarter. I think that it doesn't make sense to release that many expansions and all these micro expansions and not have a way to keep it all in one box. So I definitely think we'll eventually do a Moonrakers big box. It just makes sense as a way to store all the cards. But I don't know exactly what that looks like yet. We're still pretty far from that, so I don't really have too much more information. But yeah, that is that. Purple is best, human, always. Yes, there are high-res desktop backgrounds for Moonrakers. We definitely have phone backgrounds for Veiled Fate. There will probably be some desktop backgrounds on the Kickstarter, as well as some like avatars and things for that. We did that for Moonrakers, so I don't see why we wouldn't do that for Veiled Fate. And then I think there are high-res avatars and backgrounds on the Kickstarter page for Moonrakers already. You'll just have to scroll. It's a very long page, so I apologize for that. But yeah, if you scroll, you'll find the avatars and desktop backgrounds on that. Moonrakers Lunar Edition for the definitive box. That's got a nice ring to it. All right, crew. Oh, we're starting with a Kickstarter expansion crew. This is Karmakessa. They were actually named by the Kickstarter as well. This one was a good name. So this guy is, and something special about the Kickstarter exclusives, they changed the rules a little bit that we placed on the core game. And if you missed out on the Kickstarter exclusives, that's something that we're planning on doing in the future with the rest of expansions as well. So don't feel like you've completely missed out. But for instance, this one says 3+ actions or draw 1 objective card. There is no other crew card or ship part that lets you draw an objective card. You have to stay at base to draw more objective cards, unless you get this one card. And so that was fun for us once we had set the rules. Like originally the rules were crew cannot get you objective cards. And then once we got to the exclusive or the next expansion, that was like something that changed where we could do that. Another rule was that crew could not get you renown, or not renown, that's Veiled Fate, prestige. And now we have a card. Wow, there's a lot of crew. I was going to apologize for it taking me so long to find the crew, but considering that means there's just way more content in the game, I'm not going to apologize. Strata Rish is +1 prestige, roll an additional hazard die, +1 action. This is a dangerous card. Sometimes you play it and you end up losing prestige instead of gaining prestige because the hazard die can be fickle. But I really like this card. I've won with this card. It's a good one. The color language holds true across the crew as well. So you'll see lots of different colors, and it kind of helps you know, okay, what is this person going to be good at? For instance, Cruz Park, he's just straight orange. He is play as 4 damage, then trash the top card from your draw pile. When I get this card, I trash my next best card, and when someone else gets this card, they trash their misses. So it's kind of hit or miss based on... Hi, Zach! Based on what you... that made Zach laugh. I don't think he was expecting that big of a reaction. Based on who's playing it, this card is better or worse. It's bad for me. Redacted might be my favorite name. It's just a card called Redacted. Plays a shield, reroll any number of your hazard dice. That can be good or bad, depending on how good at rolling you are. But yeah, I really, really like how Alex did these artworks. You have people that... robots instead of people that count as crew, and then you have, the aliens that he did just a fantastic job with, making them look different, but still, like, fitting in the same family. I'm just really, really pleased with how good of a job he did all around. Dane, Zach has something important to tell you. I'm not going to lie. Today was supposed to be Zach plays Azul, and Zach was busy. So... you tell me what Zach was actually busy with, considering he's on YouTube right now watching. He just didn't want to play Azul. Anyway. All right, so these are just the core damage cards. You start with 2 of them in your deck. They are all the same, but there's lots of them. The damage cards are the only ones that have different types in the same slot. I just put them back to back, like front to back, I guess. We wanted 3 different slots for the damage cards, and Panda said that the slots were too small and it would cause the insert to degrade and not work as well. And of course, we didn't want to do that. So these are the damage 2s. There's less of them because there's a lot less ways to get them. And then damage 3s. Those just look cool. I like those. There's only 5 of them in the game. It's hard to get those. All right. Next is the worst card in the game. Misses. I have built many decks full of misses and lost because of it. Mostly just because you're going for a high damage ship. Sometimes there's just so many damage contracts out there, and you're like, I can win by doing this. And no, it's not. It's not possible if you get too many misses without a trasher. Shields, gotta love them. Protect you from hazards. Hazard dice. Thrusters, I built... Okay, so on Wednesday, the reason I lost, if you watched Wednesday, the reason I lost is because I built a... Well, there's lots of reasons I lost, but I built a reactor and thruster ship, which means I was drawing cards and I had a lot of ability to play them, but I didn't have a lot of cards other than those 2 cards. So you have to build a balanced ship, otherwise you're going to be really, really good at playing cards, but then those cards don't do very much. Yes, there is a ship part, Dane, that makes misses good. It is very expensive. I'll find it because I like this ship part. It is a Kickstarter exclusive. It is called SOS. You may play miss cards as shield, thruster, reactor, or damage 1. It is 6 credits, and it comes with a miss. So if you get this card, all your other ship parts that you buy should have a miss associated with them, because you're really going to want as many misses as you can get. Yep, Bobby's got it. In your playthroughs, how important are the higher damages in helping completing contracts? If you don't get any damage 2s or 3s, is it really all that bad for your contract completion? So on contracts, damage is always going to be higher. So like in the way we balance the contracts, I have like this whole spreadsheet that goes through difficulty and everything else. But like a 3 of thruster would be a 5 of damage because of the you can get multiple levels of it. And so this really hard for Hazard Dice quest or contract, golly, playing too much Veiled Fate, is 8 damage, 5 shields, 5 reactor. So if that was thrusters, it would be 5 thrusters, 5 shields, 5 reactors. So damage is always going to be a little bit higher than everything else. I would say you do not have to have a lot of damage in your hand as long as you are not trying a bunch of kill contracts, and as long as someone else at the table has damage that you can partner with, it shouldn't be a big issue. Nancy, I know. I'm sorry. It's coming. It is coming. Cool. All right. That is all of the cards. And so I'm going to put everything back in real fast and then show you the tornado test. And then maybe give you a peek at some Veiled Fate stuff. Might take me a second to put some coins in, so ask me a question. They sound good, though. I'm going to make you sit here and be awkward unless you ask me a question. It's the worst. Oh, I got a new sweatshirt. It's fun. Am I allowed to talk about those? Oh, these aren't for sale. These are special for me. Thanks, Sam. Do we have anything else coming, Sam? There will be Veiled Fate t-shirts. I can say that. And there will be potentially some sweatshirts. Potentially some sweatshirts as well. We will see. Very limited edition sweatshirts. And they will be expensive, Sam is telling me. So definitely will be t-shirts for Veiled Fate, and then there will be sweatshirts possibly, but if there are, they will be very expensive in a limited run because sweatshirts are expensive to make. All right, what if you want a contract remove? What's a contract you removed? What do you mean removed? Oh, like took out of the game because it didn't work? Dane? So Chuck, this game actually has markers along the side of where to put things back, and that's courtesy of Dane, actually. Dane is the one that had the guides idea, and I'm really, really happy with those. All right, so we had a contract that was... it was 5 crew and then some reactors and thrusters. And if you had Motomata, you could do 3 of the crew by yourself, play some reactors and some thrusters, and you only had to have 2 other crew in your hand. And it was supposed to be one of the hardest contracts on the board, but honestly, you could solo it if you had 3 crew and more Mata. And so we ended up making that quest way harder because people were soloing it and winning the game with like 5 prestige in 1 turn. And normally that's very, very, very hard to do. So that is why we got rid of that. All right, so Panda, if you are in the United States, you should be worried on Tuesday, and you can send me a message on Tuesday if you have not gotten a notification then. They said that they would be sending emails at the end of the day and that would go into next week. So I imagine that means Monday and Tuesday. So if Tuesday comes and goes and you still have not gotten an update from them on shipping tracking, check your spam, and if it's not in spam, check the email that you're using is the email that you backed the game with. And then if both of those things still don't get you an email, give me a message on either Kickstarter or email me at moonrakers@iv.studio. Oh, okay. Human. Good question. Thank you. So this is an excellent question I should have covered. How does Moonrakers play at 2 or 1? All right. So in both of those cases, you are going to do one more step during setup, and that is create the Mercenary deck. The Mercenary deck is a deck of cards that will have active cards flipped up each round, and you will be able to hire people from that center. Hire people? Did I say it right? I said it right instead of buy people. You will be able to hire crew or hire mercenaries to play other cards for you. So if you want to use a crew that is in that center board, you have to pay a prestige off the contract you are attempting. If you want to use a reactor, thruster, shield damage from that middle board, you have to pay credits. And the more cards you use, the more credits it costs. And all that comes off the reward of a contract. You can still ally with the other person. Sometimes it's cheaper to ally with the other person in a 2-player game, so there's not that loss of negotiation. But if you're playing a solo mode, you're going for points. You're not trying to beat anyone. And so you have 10 rounds to get as many points as possible. And you get points for getting prestige, and you get points for credits and overall value of your ship. And so in that sense, you still have that center mercenary deck, but you don't have anyone else to negotiate with or anyone else to compete against. So you are just competing against me, who set the point values of what is good in the Moonrakers one-player mode. We've had a lot of people play the one-player mode and say that it was a blast. I have not heard of anyone beating the 250 master level yet. So I'm really pumped to hear that someone beat my score, because I think my highest score is like 230 something. But yeah. Plans for Moonrakers swags: t-shirt, hats, coasters, baby shark cages. Wow, baby shark cages. We need that. Sam, you have any comments on whether we're gonna have any Moonrakers merch? Maybe stuff in the future for like cons and stuff. Yeah, future. We don't have any current plans. But yeah. MR's color is purple. What would you say VF's main color is? Yellow, gold? Yeah, gold. Yeah. Red, kinda too. There's a red that's real nice in the game. Oh, I see your answer now. Sorry. Red's for special things. Only special things. Enlightened negotiation piece is part of this game I really like. So I definitely prefer 3 to 5, but if it was still fun for what it is. I'm guessing you're talking about your solo mode that you played yesterday, Bobby. That makes sense. Cool. All right. Last thing is there are these little cheat cards that each player can have that helps them understand the turn order. Like, you can either do a contract or you can stay at base. If you're going to do a contract, these are the steps, which is select a contract, invite allies, negotiate rewards and hazard dice, roll hazard dice, attempt the contract, distribute rewards, or subtract, and then subtract hazard from prestige. Something that should be on the end of that, not really should be, but something that happens after you subtract hazard is if you've scored a objective card, that happens after all of that. Option 2 is stay at base. If you stay at base, I should have given one of these to Zach on Wednesday because he had to ask. Take 1 credit, draw 2 objectives, and keep 1. Optional, discard a contract and replace it. You can discard an active contract. That's been really helpful in the past when there's just too hard of contracts out. And then the other side of that card says, on your turn, you may pay 1 credit to discard and replace any 1 contract from the dispatch, or discard and replace any ship part or crew from the armory. All players start with 1 action. 1 action equals 1 card played. If you run out of actions, you cannot play additional cards. That is important, because some people are like, well, I ran out of actions, but I have another reactor. You can't play it. And then 1 shield blocks 1 hazard. So that's what's on those. These didn't have their own slot. We've been putting them in with the crew. That's not a perfect, elegant solution, but once again, Panda said we couldn't have any more slots, so we had to make do with what we had here. Time for the tornado test, so I'm pumped about that. All right, so the player boards. Can you give me a top down? So you have the coins and the dice and the cards, and that gets locked in by the player boards, right? So all those go away. And then the armory and the dispatch board lock in the ship tokens. Then the comic and the rulebook sit on top of there. Then you're going to take me back wide, Sam? And I can spin this thing around. And I hope I'm not proven wrong on camera. That'd be fun. And looks pretty good so far. Would you look at that? Tornado test passed. Can you go top down, Sam? All right, where it should be. So pretty happy with that insert. Max did a really, really good job on the initial design. So good job, Zach and Max, on that. Are you kidding me? I swirled around above my head. Did I really not do it hard enough? Is this hard enough for you? Do what? Ridiculous. It's all still there. They want me to throw it. No, that won't work. You have to have a box band or something on it to throw it. You definitely cannot throw a board game and expect it to all be where it was. That's ridiculous. All right. So Galazzo, that was Max and Zach, their brainchild, putting that together. They kind of just looked at the components and other game inserts and came up with a plan. And they're very used to working in 3D just from our animation studio stuff. So they came up with a great insert based on that work. I would recommend hiring someone if you don't have like CAD or 3D modeling experience. It's just a really hard thing to approach. Speaking of, for Veiled Fate, it's a little bit more complicated because of all the miniatures and other things. And then also IV is just really, really busy right now. And so we thought that we would turn to a trusted partner in the community for help with the Veiled Fate insert. So we actually are working with Game Trays to make an insert for Veiled Fate. So I'm really excited about that. Human, I have a Windows computer. This isn't my only computer. It works great for what I need it to. All right. Go top down for me, Sam. So these are the mats. I guess I'll turn them this way. They are replacements that you can buy as add-ons for the dispatch and armory boards. What I like about these is it makes the cards way easier to pick up, and then it also keeps your cards cleaner because they're not going on your kitchen table. So if you were using these, this would have the contracts on it, and then there'd be 8 contracts out here, and your ships would be up here, and that would be your score track. And then on this one, this is your store, called the Armory, and it would have the 3 available crew and the 6 available ship parts, and then your coins on the side. We played with these on Wednesday. They were fantastic. Really, really liked them. So yeah, really thrilled with that. All right. So, any other questions about Moonrakers? Doesn't have to be the last time you ask questions about Moonrakers, but I was going to move on to show you some Veiled Fate stuff, if you're interested. And then I got to go pretty soon, so only about 10 minutes left. All right. So, Veiled Fate. I'm not going to open this box because it's literally just empty. There's no insert, but I will show you the side of the box. Can you go top down? I really like the side because it has the outlines of the different characters there, and you can see a little bit of that gold foil there. Look at that. Woo! That looks nice. Okay. Chuck, you can kind of fit the mats in the box. I would not recommend it. They do fit folded half. If you do that, they will technically fit, but the box sticks up about a ½ inch to an inch, and it's probably bad for the mats over long term. So I don't think I'd store it in there longer than just driving over to my friend's house with them or something. Okay. Y'all going to make a red ship. I currently have no plans for a red ship. I think that if we did add a color ship in the future as a part of an expansion, it would be a red ship. But we don't currently have a plan for red. Red is bad in Moonraker's color language. It means that you are paying money or that you're about to get hit by hazard or something bad. So it'd be a fun color to have, but not currently any plans for that. All right, so we're going to talk about Veiled Fate. If you know nothing about Veiled Fate is a game where you are playing as a celestial being that is controlling the fates of 9 different demigods on Earth. And you are trying to help your descendant, one of the demigods that you are dealt in secret, get the most renown and therefore become the king or queen of the main city there, ascend to the throne. A 6-player expansion confirmed. Get out of here, human. That is not true. We tried to do 6 players, and it just slogged a little bit. You didn't have enough buys. There were some other problems. We actually tried an 8-player version where you were forced into teams of 2, and that was fun for one team because that one team just did exceptionally well, and then the rest of the teams just got left in the dust. So, yeah, there might be something like that in the future for Moonrakers. We've thought about it, and we've tried a couple of things, but currently it is still planned at a 1-5 game. Veiled Fate is going to play 2 to 8. Almost said 9. That's wrong. 2 to 8. It's really a game of hiding in plain sight. That is the core idea that we were going for. And so I'm going to show you the setup board really quickly. So give me a second while I grab some stuff. Any other... I think it's more likely that the red ship comes out in an expansion, and I am not saying this is going to happen in any means. I'm just saying it's more likely that you get a red ship that you can play as before there's a 6-player expansion. I have to be very careful with these. These are the painted minis. And our prototype minis are not as strong as the minis that we were creating for the end game, the mass production game. The minis have already been strengthened, and Panda's helped us make them much more sturdy. And so I have to be way more careful with these than you will have to be with your end game versions. But these were professionally painted, and I love them. They are fantastic. But this is the center of the board. This is the city. And then there are 7 pieces that come off around it. Give me a top-down, Sam, while I set this up. All right, so the first place that we're going to add in here is the pools and the abyss. So basically this is our universe's version of hell. Demigods can get smited and sent here, and then they can get out by going through the pools of healing and then back to the city. All right. Will the minis come unpainted? All right, so Chuck, they will be unpainted, but we will have another option on the Kickstarter to do a contrast wash on them in their player color. So they will be unpainted, but they will look really cool if you go with that option. Otherwise, they'll be completely ready for you to paint, and the bases will be the player color so that you can still play with them unpainted. Hey, you know this game, Human. You very much helped make it. It's almost like you've played it a lot. Alrighty. So off of the hub are quest regions. These are the places you will move the demigods to in order to accomplish quests. All right, so we have a base game version that is cheaper that does not include minis. It comes with standees. And that is an option that we chose so that people that didn't really care about standees wouldn't have to include them if they didn't want them. Yep. Really excited for our final board. It's gonna... There we go. All right. So this is the Veiled Fate board. And when the game starts, there will be quests. That get placed around the board. And in order to complete them, you have to put the appropriate amount of demis on the quest. And when I put a demi on a quest, sometimes there are limits like colors and other things. So I'm going to put red on red space here. And why I would do that is that I am either trying to give red points because I am red, I am either trying to bluff that I am red, or I am trying to stop red from getting points. And so I am going to have vote cards in my hand, which look like this. They have feathers or scorpions, and I'm going to vote when I place a demigod on there, and I am either voting for the feathers side of this quest to resolve or the scorpion side of this quest to resolve. And on the feather side of this quest, if feathers wins after we reveal the cards once the quest is complete, Pentha, red here, will get 2 points. But if the scorpion sides win, then I will flip a real fancy metal coin that has scorpions on one side and feathers on the other. Whoop. And if feathers happen, she'll get smited. If scorpions happen, she'll lose a renown, which is our victory points. So that's kind of how you would play. So I would put demis on there. That would be my turn. And then someone else would go, and they'd put demis on there. But all that voting is hidden, and I can move any player. I don't have to just move my player. So that's like a really, really quick breakdown of what it's called. Yes, Hawaiian Moose. Technically can't call it Sundrop, but that is what a contrast wash. That is a type of contrast wash that things like Nemesis have done. I'm definitely double bluffing. I am neither red nor green, but I am red. All right, so when a quest is complete, you look at the top middle. It tells you to add a number of cards. I do that by telling someone else at the table to add a card. I cannot choose myself. At a 2-player game, it's a random card from the top of the draw pile, so we're going to do that. Then these get shuffled. And then revealed. And it is a good thing that I was Pentha because Pentha just got 2 points. So there are score trackers that would go around the scoreboard here. So you can see this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Most games do not get anywhere close to 12, but we wanted to leave it on there just in case people wanted to try a game with 4 ages because the score does get up that high if you do that. There are also god powers that I'm not going to go into now, but that you can trade your hand of cards in order to do special things like portal people around the board or smite them to the abyss. There's a really fun first player token, which allows you to go first and also gives you some special powers. But Sam, could you go straight on for me? And then this is actually a 3D printed version of the first player token that we made. That this is the 3D printed version, but this is what it looks like before you take it out of all the supports and stuff. I don't know how well you can see that, but they're really fun. They're kind of hard to take apart. These are easier than the rest of the minis. But we 3D printed all the minis, all the bases, all the first player tokens, the city card tokens. There's a lot that we had to 3D print. It was a big job. But yeah, there's some other cards in there, but I'm running out of time, so I'm going to end my Veiled Fate talk there and just look at the rest of these questions, and then we'll go from there. Do the areas in which the quests take place matter? Yes and no. So you have age cards that one comes out per round, and it changes the game for that round. For instance, this one says, global vote at the end of the age, starting the left of the first player. Demis on this side of the board would get 2 points, or demis on this side of the board would get 2 points. So which side the quest is on helps certain demis or not. And then there's also a little bit of strategy in placing your quests, because I might place this one that requires teal to be on it really far away from teal if I didn't want teal to get there, or I might put it right next to teal if I really wanted teal to get on it. So there's strategy in how you place quests. The regions themselves don't do anything special at this time currently. All right, looks like Sam added in a base game price. The campaign goes live on October 15th, Paint by Gaming, so it's coming very, very fast. Moonrakers for more than 6 players, maybe 8. I would say buy Failed Fate. Moonrakers would not play very well at 8 without a major overhaul, just because of how long that would take before it's your turn as the primary player again. I could be wrong. We've tried a couple of ideas at 8 players and haven't come up with anything yet. So if you have an idea, I would love to hear it. Could be cool to have the board double layered so the cards could fit in. I mean, that's a great idea. There are 8 boards, though, so that sounds super expensive, but that's not a bad idea. But you're having to pick up the cards a lot, and that might get annoying because you're doing a lot of voting and a lot of other stuff. Yeah. Human, anyone missed the race to 5? I know I do. You could still play race to 5 points, Human, if you wanted to. It's definitely still, you could try it still. Any sort of first 24-hour backers thing similar to Moonrakers with the Failed Fate. So we mentioned the posters earlier, that those are a limited run. So we'll only sell a certain number of them, and so people that back sooner might add them before you do. That is currently the only timed exclusive thing that we have. But maybe we'll come up with something else in the next 2 weeks before we launch. So we'll let you know beforehand if so. Yeah, join the Discord if you want to be ahead of the curve on all things IV. We talk there a lot. We run a lot of ideas past the community there to get feedback, and I'm always available to answer questions on the Discord. So even if it's just ask questions while you're playing Moonrakers, rather than going to BGG, even though BGG is great and you should post your questions there too, but I'm immediately available on the Discord and not immediately available on BGG. So awesome. That's all I've got. So I'm going to say goodbye, and if you have more questions, come and hang out with me and talk to me on board or on Discord. Timeline that you want to answer. Is there a timeline for Veiled Fate? Very soon, we're going to get it. Like a year to... No, we're planning on getting it faster than a year. That is definitely something that was different for Moonrakers. A big part of that was COVID. it's hard for me to give a definitive month. We're going to say June on the Kickstarter and then work really, really hard to beat that. And I think that our internal goal is April, Sam is telling me I'm allowed to say. Oh, I'm not saying? Don't count on that. I told them the goal on the Kickstarter was June. Internal goal is April, and so we'll probably do it in May. All right, sweet. Oh, yeah, I'm glad you're in there, Dark Fox. Dark Fox? Yes. Dark Fox, yes, same Discord. All right, just in time to say goodbye. Bye, Johnny. Bye, everybody.